This week on Unapologetic Uplift.
If you don't have friends that make you feel this good and say these things about you, then you need to go out and find them because they exist.
Please.
It's so important to know that nothing is out of your reach in terms of your own healing. We want you to know that you're loved, that you're worthy of being loved.
Start your day off like that for 90 days, and I promise you it will transform your life. You don't need a trust fund, a luxury retreat, or a private yoga teacher to heal yourself.
No excuses and no complaining, and they're very related.
Often when you have fewer resources, you become more resourceful and go deeper within.
Get ready to rise above the noise and unlock your true potential. Welcome to Unapologetic Uplift, the podcast that's all about keeping it real and helping you live your best life. Buckle up. Get ready to learn, grow, and evolve with us on Unapologetic Uplift. New episodes released weekly.
Welcome to Unapologetic Uplift. I'm your host, Kim Staples, joined by my absolutely stunning co-host, Ianthe Mauro. We are thrilled to have you here with us today.
Well, that was a really nice intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You are stunning. And it's always so amazing to spend this hour with you on a Wednesday. It really is one of the highlights of my week. Okay.
I feel the same. And I want to say this. If you don't have friends that make you feel this good and say these things about you and they really mean it, then you need to go out and find them because they exist.
Please. Yeah.
There's Kim right there. We are these kinds of friends. And by the way, when we're not talking to each other on this platform and bringing you a podcast, we're checking in usually daily, seeing how the other's doing, giving each other uplifting anything we need, shoulder to cry on, virtual hugs, and also in-person hugs when we can get them. I want to always reinforce what it looks like to be in a really solid, beautiful friendship, especially for two women, because I think we're told that it's hard to find friendships when you're over 40, or it's hard to find friendships that are pure and not just jealous or all the other adjectives I'm not going to say. And yet I want us to show you that it is not only possible, but you deserve it and you're worthy of this level of friendship.
I love that. Yes. Amen. Amen. Okay. I have to say this because it's been sitting in my body since I saw it, and I meant to look it up to see who the post was even about, but I didn't because I am not that magnificent of a podcast host. But someone was complaining online on Threads that listening to your body, honoring your energy, and prioritizing healing is only for the privileged and the wealthy. And you know what? I have to call complete and utter total BS, because I've made the biggest, most powerful transformations of my life when I was broke.
Yeah. And I've seen, and also, yeah, there's so much about that we're going to have to unpack one by one.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'll say, I think it's not fair because it sets you up. It's so twisted to say you can only have this if you're privileged and wealthy.
The mentality is what that is.
Yeah. And also, let's just say you're privileged and wealthy. Does that mean that you're healing and that healing is more accessible to you? No, it doesn't.
So yeah,
Even
like I
flipping
said,
it.
my biggest transformations came when I had nothing but myself, my breath, my journal, and my willingness to change. Healing is not a luxury. It's a decision.
Ooh, it's a decision. It's not a luxury. Healing is not a luxury. It's a decision. Healing is not a luxury. It's a decision. I had to call that out. That is a beautiful quote.
It is.
It's true.
And I want to remind you today that there are so many free ways to radically shift your life and your energy. I'm talking about quitting drinking, hydrating, practicing gratitude, meditating, praying,
Walking,
moving your body, getting in nature, journaling, literally all the things that cost $0 where you get the biggest bang for your investment,
Now, I
which is
will
not money.
no, and I want to say I'm going to bring in this thought because whenever I get a thought comes in when we're having these conversations, there must be someone listening right now that has this. I feel like it's not coming from me. It's just out there, and I get that a lot. So here's what came in. When you have financial insecurity, it can be hard to see those free resources, to feel worthy of utilizing them,
Yes.
and it doesn't mean they don't exist and it doesn't mean you can't, but I do want to honor that when you are worried about where your next meal is coming from, it is very difficult to just snap your fingers and say, well, I'm going to heal today and take a walk and journal. I get that. And that is also true, which is what,
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance, but at the end of the day, we have a choice each and every day. And I have been there. I have been poor. I have been in situations where I don't know how I'm going to eat. I have been in situations where I've had to feed my kids and go hungry myself because we both couldn't eat. I've been in situations where I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent this month, where I haven't paid my rent this month and I'm going to be kicked out. So I get it. And being in survival mode, it often feels like we don't have options.
but healing can't be a privilege. Healing has to be a daily, like you said, choice and work. And that can happen no matter what's in your bank account. And I really, really want people to know that you don't have to also do this alone because that's why we have this podcast. That's why Kim does the work she does.
Yes.
And I
Ugh.
guarantee you, if you DM'd somebody like Kim, if you DM'd me or Kim, you said, I'm in a desperate situation. I don't have the resources. I know that in the past, Kim has given resources and even she does one complimentary call with her one-on-one. So you could actually get her alone with you for even one session without even having to pay anything. And that could be just what you need to kickstart you into healing and knowing that you can do it regardless of your financial situation or your means. And I also want to add, I have this reputation. I didn't know that I had this. When you find out that people say things about you and assume things about you, and you never really knew that, I have been told more than once, oh, you're a rich girl, you wouldn't understand. Yeah. And I think that's wild. They really don't know. And maybe I just don't present as someone who's ever struggled financially. But when you brought up that list of I've gone without food, I've only gone without, I just have to bring up my little example is there was a time, first of all, growing up, we were always financially insecure. My parents chose a loving and creative life over financial stability. And they felt there was a choice there. I feel like we can have both, but we should improve with every generation. But I know that that was their choice and it was beautiful to be raised that way. But there was a lot of financial instability. And we were kicked out of places and not being able to pay rent and not being able to own a home when all my friends' families owned their homes. However, when I was an adult and I was going through divorce and there was this moment, this blip of financial insecurity, the time for me when I was just hit with it in the face was when I didn't have the money to buy toilet paper. Before I went to pick up my kids from school, I knew that we didn't have toilet paper and it was such a basic need. And I remember crying because I thought my bank account's overdrawn and I can't just buy toilet paper. And I had this moment of, do I go into a hotel bathroom and steal a roll of toilet paper before I get my kids? That's what I was thinking that day. And I ended up figuring out, I've told this story before. So the quick version is I realized that I had a bunch of glass bottles because I bought glass milk bottles when I had money to spend on expensive milk. I wanted my kids to have the best. And I had saved and hoarded these bottles. And I had, I don't know, like 40 of these bottles hidden in a cabinet. And when I realized I had that, I went, oh, that's super abundant. I'm going to go to the store and turn those bottles in. And whatever money they give me, I'll have that for not only the toilet paper, but to be able to buy the meal to make that night. And it was exactly what I needed financially. It was enough money. I think it was like $17, which was perfect for toilet paper and a meal or something like that, or
Yeah,
20.
perfect.
So I've
Yeah.
been there. And yet I was still working on healing and I had people I could call upon for that too.
What a great story. And a great example of resourcefulness and how when we open up and look for the solution rather than focusing just on the problem, we're able to often figure out these creative ways to get what we need. I have so many examples of stories like that. When I was in probably one of the worst financial situations of my life is when I have invested the most into my self-development by getting creative. And that's a whole other story in itself. But really, I just want this episode to be your permission slip, your pep talk, and your reminder that you don't need a trust fund, a luxury retreat, or a private yoga teacher to heal yourself. What you need is intention. You need commitment. And really, you just need the courage to stop outsourcing your healing and start showing up for yourself right now with what you have in this moment.
Oh, you said stop outsourcing your healing, which can sound ironic if you think that because you and I both help people heal in different ways. And yet it's
But
not
you don't.
outsourcing. Yeah, go ahead. Say it. Say it.
No, but
You know what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't get support in your healing journey. And sometimes we pay for support and sometimes we access free resources. Maybe it's quitting drinking that's going to make the biggest transformation in your life. And you think, well, I can't do that by myself. I need mentorship. I need help. I need support. There's free, right? You can go to AA. And one thing that drives me a little bit batty is when people say that doesn't work for me. Because nothing works for you if you don't do it.
And that's the other thing I was going to say. So here's the deal. If you hire Kim, for instance, to help you on your healing, you're not outsourcing your healing because guess what Kim does? So a really great healer and a healing modality that really is great is going to help you remember your ability to heal yourself. It's not going to give you the one size fits all. Here's your cure, or even worse, come back to me for this many years or for the rest of your life. I had a therapist once who said to me, Kim, and this is why I left this therapist. She said, you need to come here every day of your life because of the kind of things you've been through. You're going to need to come to me for the rest of your life or someone like me. And I was like, you're not for me. You are absolutely not for me. That's outsourcing your healing. I've also seen people who have very deep pockets. They can pay for anything they want. And they go from one healing modality, one healer to another. They're never healed because they're constantly looking for someone to fix them.
Yeah. You don't want to be giving your power away. And that's not to say that we don't get stuck and sometimes need support, but for somebody to be like, I am your guru, you're going to need to come to me for the rest of your life. And that's not, listen, I have clients that stay with me for a very long time and they do different things with me, but it's not because they have to stay with me. I teach them how to be able to heal themselves. They are empowered. They know what they're doing, but they choose to stay in my world because they love being there. That's completely different than being dependent on somebody. And in my world, it's kind of, as I continue to evolve, my clients often want to come along with that, right? So they get somewhere and then they're like, oh, look, she's evolved to her next level and I want to evolve to my next level. And it just works like that. But never because they need to stick with me and that they're broken and I am the fixer. And I'm glad you didn't stay with that therapist because while I do believe that therapy does serve a purpose and we all can use it every now and again, it's really the purpose of it is not to be telling you what you need and what to do. It's to be a safe place to help you unpack your shit.
And it's not only the emotional healers that do this. I actually recently had to break up with a chiropractor because after seeing me twice, I was whisked away to an office and handed to someone else who does the treatment plan. And I was shown this plan that was a year-long plan. And I thought, how can you possibly know that my healing of my body will take that long? What if I respond really quickly and in 3 months from now, I need to go to fewer treatments? Or what if I don't respond for 2 years? Like it was too, I want to say like boilerplate or template oriented and not taking into account who I am and how, and not knowing me at all either, had only seen me twice. So I want to go back to also the concept here that we're talking about. So it's so important to know that nothing is out of your reach in terms of your own healing. You are capable. You can tap into these incredible resources that already live inside you. Just like Glinda the Good Witch said to Dorothy, you had the power all along. All you have to do is click your heels. This is one of those ruby slipper moments where we remind you of your ability to heal yourself through also asking for help where you need it, finding mentors who you trust. It actually, every episode we've ever done, there are bits and pieces of every episode we've ever done that go into this one. So if I say things and it sounds like you've heard it before, and if you're new to this podcast, welcome. We're so happy that you're here, and we hope you share this with a friend, and we hope you come back every week and hear what we have to share, and let us know and comment to us and DM us on Instagram or Facebook to let us know what it is you'd like to hear us talk about, or if you like more of our personal stories or more of our advice. I want to hear all of those things. And because we're committed to doing this podcast well into the future, and we're always grateful that we have this platform to be able to sit and talk like this about things that mean a lot to us. And we hope that it encourages you. So you don't need to be wealthy. You don't need to have endless resources, deep pockets in order to heal, in order to self-reflect, self-awareness. You said it started with intention, which is so true. And where does intention come from? The birthplace of intention is first, I believe, self-awareness, asking yourself, checking in with yourself. The simple question, which costs you $0. How am I feeling today and what do I need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can start it.
And making it a priority, like making it a priority is key, because I can tell you it's so frustrating, but I see so many people saying, oh, I can't do the healing work that I want to do. I can't afford to work with a coach or work with a healer. And I recognize that some people genuinely don't have the resources for that. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the people that have the resources, but choose to use the resources for other things. I have seen women that are going and getting filler and Botox and at the hair salon every 6 weeks, spending tons of money. To each their own. If that's your priority, that's your priority. But to say that you can't afford to do the healing work that you want to do, it's just looking at your priorities and figuring out what they actually are. There are a lot of people that struggle financially, but they figure out a way to drink and smoke on a regular basis. Okay. So that is their priority. If you made healing, working with somebody, joining a community, maybe a paid community or something, and you don't have to do these things. There are ways to do it for free, but I'm just shining a little light on priorities and how some of our priorities are not healing. They are other things. And if we stopped and did a realignment of our priorities, we would actually be amazed at how resourceful we can be and what we actually do have access and can have access to. Like I said, when I was going through one of the most difficult financial situations in my entire life, I managed to invest the most into my self-development because I realigned priorities and got really resourceful. And I recognize that it might not be that big of a priority for some people, and that's okay. But if you want to heal and you want to be the best version of yourself, the healthiest version of yourself, you have to make healing and self-care a priority. How you do that, you can get really creative. Often when you have fewer resources, you become more resourceful and go deeper within, as in my case.
So it can be a blessing. It's my dad used to say this. He'd say, the breakdown to the breakthrough.
Hmm.
What is your breakdown to the breakthrough? And yes, it can be a blessing. And that question I like to ask is, how is this happening for me and not to me? Which instantly will guide you to more of a healing way of thinking, more of a nurturing for towards yourself way of thinking, rather than, oh, poor me, this is horrible that this is happening to me. The other thing that came up when you were talking, I was thinking that I made this choice before I had children that I wouldn't let them know if we ever had financial insecurity like I had grown up with. I wouldn't say the words, we can't afford that. I would, no matter where we were at financially, I would say, I'm not choosing to use our resources for that. So that I would make it a choice, which would felt a lot more empowering than saying we can't afford
Hmm.
it. And just simple language like that is, and maybe it's tricking ourselves, or maybe it's kind of hypnosis, but I don't care. It worked. And my kids don't have the same issues around finances that I had. And I consciously made that choice to never say we can't afford it. Even if we couldn't, I thought, because that's how I remember, we can't afford that. It never came out of my mouth in front of my children. It was always, that's not what I choose. We're not choosing to use our resources for that. We're not choosing to spend on that.
Yeah, I love that because there is always choice too, right? And yeah, maybe I could spend the resources that I have on that, but then it's a sacrifice and I'm going to go without something else here, right? And the word sacrifice, I want to touch on for a moment because we live in a society that really struggles to sacrifice their comfort. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. And I've made sacrifices like this, so I can say firsthand that it is doable. We want something so badly. We hate our job, for example. I hate my job. I get up every day, resent going to it. I really just want to be at home with my kids. And we tell ourselves that there aren't any other options. I can't quit my job because I won't find anything else that pays me like this. I won't find anything else with this type of flexibility or whatever the stories are that we tell ourselves, which is bullshit, by the way. It's 99% of the people, if not 100% of the people that are saying this aren't actively looking for other options for themselves. They're just complaining about how much they hate it and how they have to do it. You don't have to do the job that you hate. You do not have to. Yeah, maybe for a little while you take a pay cut. So what? What does that mean? What does that really look like? I can tell you,
Uncomfortable, like you said. And
yeah,
people
it's
don't want to be
uncomfortable,
uncomfortable.
but it's doable. And they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be uncomfortable for a little while. I'm going to have to cut my budget down. They convince themselves that they can't actually do it. But when you actually break it down, you can do it. And that might look like downsizing, living in a smaller house, all of these things that people are just not even willing to, oh my gosh, live in a smaller house. These things that don't matter whatsoever that we make such a big deal out of and cling to, like we can't live without them. So again, it's like sacrifice and priorities. I started over
And that,
5 years ago and moved out of my 6 bedroom, 5 bathroom, huge house into my mom's 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom home with my entire family. If you want to talk about discomfort. And that was very uncomfortable. But I was not going to go back to my corporate job that I hated doing, being away from my children. I was going to figure it out and I was going to get resourceful. And I did. So there's just a lot of things people aren't willing to do, but they're so afraid of going for it, being uncomfortable, that they're keeping themselves in this life that they hate and they're never going to be fulfilled in, rather than just being
yes.
uncomfortable for a little while. Just, it blows my mind how much people cling to their pretend, and it is just a sense of security, because working a job, working for somebody else isn't really that secure. Even if you think your job is secure, it could be taken from you at any moment. Not that I'm saying go quit your job, but we have these false illusions. Oh, my job is so secure, I can't possibly quit. But what if something happens? Don't cling to something because you have this false sense of security. Be real with yourself. If you want to work for somebody else, that's totally fine. But don't convince yourself that's the most secure thing in the world, because it just simply isn't.
And it's been proven so many times. There are so many stories, and there are other people's stories, so I won't share them here. But if anyone's interested, you can look at Jim Carrey, who often tells this story about what his father said to him, and go look that up. He has a lot on that. It's amazing. This has been the truth is when you are afraid to feel uncomfortable. So basically, it's that old cliche, what you resist persists. You will be entirely uncomfortable because you're resisting it. You're like, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
don't want to be uncomfortable. And then you wake up one day and go, what did I do with my life? Avoiding discomfort. What is that? What kind of a life is that when you're avoiding something? So then you're putting all of your energy on this thing that you don't want. What you focus on grows, people. I promise you this. If you're focusing
Mm-hmm.
on what you don't want, what is growing? What you don't want. So how about instead you take that risk? And I just had a sweet friend who I've known her. So she's my daughter, my bonus daughter's best friend growing up. So I met this little girl when she was a little girl. She was probably 9, 10 when I met her. And now she's a woman, and she had reached out to me recently on DMs, and I hadn't spoken to her in a few years. And she said, Ianthe, I watch everything you do, and I love how you're an entrepreneur and you create your things that you care about, and I love it, and I wish I could be more like you, and I'm hating my job right now, and I'm so sad, and I feel like it's stealing my soul. I'm so
Mm,
upset doing this, and I want to leave, and I want to do my own thing, and I want to start a candle company, and what can I do? And I just said, you can start a candle company. You can leave today. I mean, I fully believe that you will be better off not having your soul sucked out of you, and you're going to figure it out. And was she scared? Yeah, she was really scared. And she had been considering this for a while, but and some people would say that my advice is not conventional and it's almost reckless. Like maybe what I gave her was reckless advice. I don't care. And then here's the punchline, everybody. She reached out to me 2 days ago and she said, I haven't felt this light in so long. I left my job. I want to start the candle company, and I'm going to actually mentor her for free because I want to help her start
mm,
her own candle company. And
beautiful.
I just love that she's willing. So is it uncomfortable? Yes. But what's more uncomfortable is staying somewhere when you realize that it's soul sucking.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes you sick. And there's just so many reasons not to stay in a situation like that. But ultimately, what it boils down to is choosing yourself and your
Yes.
happiness and your fulfillment and your enjoyment of life. Like society has conditioned us to believe that we should work, we should go to school, get an education, work for somebody else 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, live on the weekend. And like, nobody questions this. They just go, and I went along with it for the longest time too. But that's not living. It's not living. And everybody serves a purpose. The person working at the Tim Hortons drive-through. So I'm not saying don't work for somebody else, don't do these things. If you feel like that is what you've got to give and what you are here for, that's okay. It's like the Walmart greeter. You see some of them and they're the happiest person alive. They're living their best life. I can get down with that. Or the lady that works in the coffee shop and it comes in, she's glowing and absolutely, that's okay. The accountant that loves crunching numbers all day. There are these people that actually, this is what they're meant to do and they love it. So it's not to take away from that. This is about the people that are showing up to their career every day or their job every day and they hate it. That's what we're talking about. But I want to bring this back because I feel like we're going off. And I just want to point out, in terms of the whole healing, costing lots of money, I want to point out that many of the most powerful spiritual practices originated in cultures that had very little in terms of material wealth. And that's not to say that healers shouldn't be paid. There's a lot of nuance in this, but we can connect to our spirituality and our faith for $0. And I want to share some free or nearly free healing and transformational practices that anyone can start with today. And the first one being, we've talked about this on many of our episodes before, but we're going to mention it again, is to quit numbing and start feeling. Quitting or reducing our alcohol and substance intake or whatever the thing is that we're using to numb. Let's start reducing that. That's going to actually save us money rather than costing us. It's a free upgrade. Costs nothing, saves money, clears energy. This is one of the most transformational things that I've done myself, giving up alcohol, giving up marijuana, and learning to be happy without those things and high on life. Another thing is hydration and nourishment. Drink water. Like, it really is one of the easiest ways to feel so much better. Most of the population is walking around dehydrated. Drinking enough water is completely game changing, and eating whole foods as often as possible. Cooking at home rather than going to a restaurant or eating takeout.
I want to add one too, which is I've learned a lot lately about sunlight and the importance of sunlight. And by the way, here's a little tip. If you can wake up and go anywhere where you can see the sun rising, apparently it does something to feed your mitochondria in a really healthy way. And it helps your circadian rhythm to be able to watch the sun rise. I know not everyone can do that, but if you can, that's free. And it's a show that happens every day outside wherever you live. So just simply watching the sun rise for just a moment and looking that way in that direction where it's rising, that does something to us that is healing.
Yeah. Or even just having light, preferably natural light, as soon as you wake up. Open your blinds and get that, if the sun is up already, get that sun shining on you. If you have to use artificial light, you can use artificial light too, but it does something, again, to the circadian rhythm, and it gives you this jolt of energy. I used to always avoid the light when I woke up. I'm like, but yeah, get the light on you. And cold is also, a lot of people say, really good. Splash some cold water on your face. Some people will do the whole dunk. I don't get down with that, but or cold shower. Those are really great for when you initially wake up too. One thing that was incredibly transformational for me and my mental health and outlook on life was practicing gratitude. When I made the conscious choice to change my life and start healing, that was the first thing that I started doing. I woke up 15 minutes earlier every day, and I went live on Instagram as well when I did that. I would get up 15 minutes earlier and I would write 10 things that I was grateful for, and I would go into detail. It doesn't have to be 10 things. I say do 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. I get my kids to do 3. And really reflect on why you're grateful for that. Start your day off like that for 90 days. And I promise you, it will transform your life without a doubt. That was single-handedly the biggest thing that changed for me. Changed my life. And also, I can remember when at one point I was on several different medications for my mental health, struggling with depression and anxiety. One of my doctors telling me to do box breathing and literally laughing, being like, what the heck is doing some deep breaths going to do for me? Me, of all people. The first time I tried emotional freedom technique tapping, and these are modalities that I'm certified in and I do with my clients. First time I tried emotional freedom technique tapping, I'm like, this is so stupid. What is tapping on my body going to do for me? So things will help you as much as you allow them to help you. And if you don't believe that something is going to work, even if it is scientifically proven to work, it's not going to work. You have to be open to receiving it.
I'm going to add this too. The gratitude thing also, yes, thank you so much for saying that. It is the highest vibration you can be in. Please try it if you don't already. It's what makes me a person that I think is pretty capable and pleasant most of the time, because I can access gratitude any second of the day. It's a habit that I formed a long time ago. The other thing is no excuses and no complaining. If you gave up
Go
complaining
on a
today,
complaining diet.
you please, and also go on. Yeah. So no excuses and no complaining, and they're very related. A lot of excuses are complaints, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Complaints are also excuses. So if you got rid of those, and that's just habitual, everybody has these habits, and you'll notice there are people that will trigger that in you. There are people that you call just because you're going to both complain about your coworkers or your kids or your husband or your partner. Please notice where you're doing that, and please stop. And if you have to say to that person where it's a habit, you guys get off on that together. And I've had this before. I'm speaking from
Me
my
too.
own experience.
Yeah.
I've had that friend in quotes, where we call and all we do is, ew, and did you see this? And ew, did you hear what that they said? And ew, if you notice yourself doing that, it will bring you down. It will stop you from being able to raise your vibration to heal, to notice and recognize what it is that you need. And it's those excuses and those complaints are going to keep you in that yucky loop of toxicity. Please,
Right.
if there's one thing you can do today, just stop doing that. You don't even have to add anything else. Just stop doing that. Notice the space it gives you in your life.
Yeah, totally. That's such a powerful one too. I'm glad you mentioned that. And like the saying goes, you can have excuses or you can have results. And it's so fucking true. You can't have both. You're going to either find an excuse or you're going to be resourceful and figure it the fuck out. And the people that get stuck in their suffering are always, there's an excuse for everything. Even if that excuse is, I just can't. But you can. And speak your gratitude out loud to really shift your energy. When you catch yourself going to complain about something, if you make this one shift today, I guarantee you, your life, you will not be the same person 6 months from now, 3 months from now, if you do this, if you start doing this today. Catch yourself complaining and shift your complaint by finding something that you can be grateful for or even appreciate. Because if you're really down in the dumps, it can be hard to say, oh, I'm really grateful for this thing. Find something you can appreciate. Go on an appreciation rampage if you can't find things to be grateful for. I can appreciate how beautiful those flowers are. I can appreciate how sunny it is today. I can appreciate that that person was really nice and friendly in the store today. Okay, maybe you can't quite be grateful, but you can start with appreciating. So rather than complaining, find something to appreciate or be grateful for. And then say it out loud and watch your energy shift in your body. And this is such a great place for anybody to start, and it will transform your life. I promise you. I can guarantee that if you start doing this today, in 3 to 6 months, your mental health will be completely different. Your outlook on life will be completely different. And I know this because I've done it. And another really free transformational thing that you can do is meditation and prayer. Sitting with yourself in silence and just breathing. Breathwork can be free too. You could go on YouTube at any time and find guided breathwork practices that you can do. You don't need money to practice breathwork either. But just sit
And
with
if you want an
yourself.
accountability, yeah, and you mentioned that you went live, you were doing the gratitude list, and then you would go live on Instagram. That's a form of accountability. So you have a witness to the work that you're doing, and that can sometimes really help and help us shift. And so if you need an accountability partner for appreciation or gratitude, I welcome you to post on our comments anywhere where you're listening to this podcast or on our YouTube channel, and post what you're grateful for, post what you're appreciative of, because you know that Kim and I are going to see that, so we can be your accountability partners that way. We also invite you always to DM us if you want. If you have a friend in your life and you've been complaining with that friend and you want to help them shift as well, sometimes helping others can also help us. So you could say to them, let's together go on a complaining diet, and let's do a little appreciation, gratitude, and just a text once a day, any time of the day, for anything that we're grateful for. That can really shift to have the help if you feel like you're feeling alone in this and you need a little kickstart. It can help to have an accountability partner for this stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. And go on a media diet. Stop watching the news. Stop consuming things that make you feel like shit because of curiosity or whatever the reason is. That is another thing that will absolutely transform the way you view the world. So what if you don't know everything that's going on in the world? Your mental health might be dependent on that.
I want you to listen to what Kim just said, and then I want you to go a step further. And I want you to take stock right now. Who in your life is the most centered, calm, aware, kind? Whatever those core values are, who are the people in your life that have those core values fully present when you're with them? And now ask yourself this question. Are they consuming every bit of current news, or are they not? And I'm going to guess that those people that are the most centered, the most helpful to be around, the ones that you want to gravitate towards and be around, that you wish you could be around every day because of their presence being so high in a vibration that makes you feel like a better person when you're with them, I'm going to say, prove me wrong. I bet they're not consuming daily news entertainment. I bet they're not. Because the people in my life, when I think about it, who are those who fit that, my mentors who I love and still work with, they absolutely have turned off all of that hype up, constant adrenaline media. They don't consume it.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're right, Kim. And I've seen the
don't.
evidence.
I can't do it.
And I don't consume it either.
And I tell you, you're still going to know what's going on in the world, even if you don't watch the news and consume the media. I promise you, you're not going to miss a beat. People will catch you up, even when you don't want them to. So,
well, in fact, you'll even know more because you won't be stuck. You won't be stuck in that rhythm where you're being constantly pulled by your heartstrings and adrenaline rushes and all of that. And then you'll actually be able to think more clearly. So don't worry about missing anything.
Yeah. I can't tell you how mindful I am of what I'm consuming. Everything from my social media, I have curated my feed because if I see something a negative that makes me feel upset or something I don't want to consume, there's a don't show me things like this. And I only look at the things that bring me life and make me feel good and inspire me and motivate me. I have the most inspirational, you probably do too, Ianthe, Instagram feed. There is no chance that I'm going on there and being brought down. It just isn't happening. So be very mindful of what you're giving your attention to, because the more you give your attention to something, the more these algorithms are going to feed you just that. When you go out seeking inspirational things that inspire you and make you feel good, that's what's going to start popping up for you. And you can actually curate it in such a way that you're only getting things that you want to see that make you feel good.
And that's also free. That does not cost anything to do that, to recognize what you're consuming and to make a conscious choice to consume things that are feeding you, nourishing you in your body, your spirit, your mind, and emotionally, and not the other way around. So that's another free form of encouraging healing.
Yeah. And let's not forget exercise and movement, because this is the best antidepressant you will ever find, is to move your body, get your heart rate up a little bit. And then you naturally start releasing endorphins and serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin and all those feel good chemicals. Go for a walk outside. Walking regulates the nervous system. You're outside in nature, getting that sunlight. Do a 20-minute walk a day. And again,
And grounding. Can you stand barefoot for, I think that the number, what was the number? It's something like 7 minutes. It's not even long. It's less than 10 minutes. If you can stand barefoot on the earth, it will do all these wonderful things to your body. It is called grounding. You've heard that, or earthing. And it's so good for you. And that doesn't even require a lot of movement, but it's that connection to the earth. It's,
Mhm.
and they even say that it reduces inflammation. There's all this scientific evidence about what simply standing on the earth can do for you. So
Or sitting.
these things, again, that's free. Sitting, exactly, sitting on the earth. Calling a friend that is able to, that knows you, that gets you, that you don't have to be on for, that you can be yourself with. That's also a form of healing. Being able to be seen by someone who loves you. That is so healing. Who loves you? Who can see you today? If you feel like you don't have that, I want you to know that it's there for you. It's accessible. There's someone who wants you to know that you're loved. Even if it's me and Kim, we do. We want you to know that you're loved, that you're worthy of being loved. Love is
Yeah, and
absolutely healing.
there's free resources on YouTube University. I call it YouTube University. But there's free yoga, there's free HIIT classes, there's free dances and stretching. There's so many free resources. We can give ourselves excuses, or we can get resourceful and go look for the things. Journaling and self-reflection. Ianthe mentioned self-reflection before, but just be with yourself and reflect. This is how we cultivate mindfulness. You can find tons of free journal prompts if you're not sure, or just brain dump.
And even the simple question of asking yourself, how do I feel about this? What do I need? These are super simple questions, and those can be journal prompts. They can also just be something that you habitually start to ask yourself every day. What do I need today? Do I need more water? Do I need to walk? Do I need to talk to a friend? Do I need to listen to a podcast? Do I need to do some deep breathing? Whatever that is, please ask yourself, at least ask the question. And if the answer at first comes, I have no idea what I need, and I've been there. I had no idea. I asked myself, what do I need? I don't know what I need. What a weird question. It was that foreign to me. I was really good at figuring out what other people needed and terrible
Yeah.
at asking myself and knowing what I needed. So just keep asking. It's going to come. If it doesn't come right away, that's okay. I
And give
promise you
yourself
that's okay.
options. Yeah,
Just
give yourself
ask.
options. So say, okay, since I don't know what I need, I'm going to pick one. Go for a walk or do a breathing exercise, and pick one. Even if you're not sure what one, just pick one. I'm going to give you a really quick breathing exercise so that we are leaving you with something tangible that you can do. I'm going to teach you a box breathing exercise. If you are feeling anxious, if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling nervous about something, I want to go introduce myself to this group, join this community, but I'm a little scared. Do this first to help you regulate yourself and to shift your mood. Put a timer on your phone for 3 to 5 minutes. Start with 3, gradually increase the time as you build your capacity to be able to sit with yourself. And all you're going to do is breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. It will look like this. Rinse, repeat for 3 to 5 minutes until your timer goes off. The first couple of times you do it, it's probably going to be really hard to sit there. You're going to think of a million reasons why this is stupid and why you don't want to do it. But I promise you, if you stay consistent with this, you will learn to actually love this process, and it will start to feel good to connect with your body and just be in the present moment. This is a great practice to help you get started with meditation and just being still.
And then notice while you're doing that, notice what comes up in your mind. And when things come up in your mind, so notice, so while you're doing the box breathing, if you're not used to this, notice what comes up in your mind. Are you making a list of things you have to do? Are you worried about something? And as every time you have a thought, if you want to try this, you can practice this. Put the thought into a balloon and watch the balloon float off and then pop and disappear out of the horizon.
Love that.
Notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you'll just end up with this beautiful, just all these balloons possibly, but keep doing it. And when you say hold, I love the box breathing because you breathe in and you hold that breath and then you release that breath. And when you release that breath, you hold again and you hold with no breath. And that's actually such a great moment. For me, that's my favorite time is when I hold with no breath.
Thanks for joining us on Unapologetic Uplift. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share the love and tell a friend about us and give us a review.
Please don't miss a thing. Subscribe to this podcast and explore our sponsors, Objects with Purpose, Eco Luxury Candles, and Divine Activation membership.
Objects with Purpose is more than an eco-luxury candle brand. They are time travel devices in the form of a candle. Light the 3 wicks representing past, present, and future with the validation that you are exactly where you need to be. And if you're ready to raise your level of consciousness and step into your unapologetic, unfiltered, and unbothered era, join the Divine Activation membership at cuttingties.coach/queen. With 3 tiers to choose from, you'll find the perfect fit to support your transformation.
Thank you for your listening and love. We'll see you next Wednesday on Unapologetic Uplift.
Welcome to the Divine Activation membership, a movement for women that are ready to raise their consciousness and step into their unapologetic, unfiltered, and unbothered era.
With your heart, live authentically, and become the magnet for all of your soul's desire.
Grow, connect with your heart and body, release unhealthy and unhelpful thought patterns, heal old wounds, create new neural pathways, and reprogram your subconscious with high-value beliefs so you can manifest the life you're meant for.
Ready to take a break from what's holding you back? Visit cuttingties.coach and join the Divine Activation membership today. Hey, unapologetic souls. I'm Ianthe Mauro, founder of Objects with Purpose, candles that touch the soul and the body. I've released a limited edition 3-wick candle collection in 3 fragrances inspired by a time in history. The Time Travel Collection, because scent evokes memory and lighting a candle can truly transport you to your highest self. Anytime.
Ianthe's candles are truly special, clean, safe, even for the body as a solid perfume or massage oil, and smell amazing. But what truly fills her heart is empowering others to be seen in their best light.
In 2020, when the 200 stores that sold my candles across the country closed their doors, I knew it was time to give back. I started guiding others to launch their own candle companies and design candles and fragrances for other brands as a way to share light in a dark time.
So why settle for just any conventional candle? Light the 3 wicks in each Objects with Purpose candle. You're supporting handmade in California, small batch, artisanal, eco-luxury, and treating yourself to a memory-evoking evolution. Visit ianthemauro.com to discover your next favorite candle. Let the olfactory experience inspire cherished memories.